Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And we're finally here. It's our first time in Southeast Asia. We are on a 7-week backpacking trip at the age of 53.
And our first stop is 5 nights in Bangkok. If you've seen our last video, you will have seen how we actually got to Thailand.
And last night we had the culture shock of all culture shocks. So see how we got on.
After we arrived in the afternoon, we did have a bit of a chill out in the hotel room and a shower to wake ourselves up, and then we had to make our way to downtown Bangkok, where the shopping district is, because we needed to get some phone SIM cards. We need it for the Google data, we need it for uploading and doing all our YouTube stuff. So we headed for the shopping centre, and actually that was quite an easy task to get the SIM cards. We found one of the big mobile phone stores. It cost us 1,000 bahts each, which is the equivalent of about £24-25 each, and actually that's about what we would have paid if we'd gone through our EE data roaming systems that we could do in America. And it gives us free data, free messages and phone calls to each other while we're here, so all good for 30 days.
But it was a classic example of chicken and egg as to what came first, because we didn't have any data, but we needed data. But to be able to go down into downtown and get data, we were reliant on our phones for directions, and we had to do it old school. And that was quite an awakening. Strange city, no idea where we were going. It wasn't too bad. The public transport system in Bangkok is amazing, and we just had to make our way to the BTS station. So it was a little bit of a walk from the hotel. We navigated that system okay. It was 3 train stops down. I think it was again about 40 baht a person, which is round about £1 a person. And we found ourselves in Siam Square. And Siam Square, what a place.
Wow, that was just a shock to all our senses. The first thing that hits you is just the bright lights, because by the time we got there it was dark, and there is just signs, neon signs everywhere. But it's actually really, really pretty. Between the trains that go overhead and they're all kind of lit up blue as you go along, the cars on the street with all the lights dashing about everywhere, and all these neon signs, it was just like, I don't know, it's like I would picture Vegas being.
Oh, for me, it was quite dystopian, really. It was very much, if you know the film, it was very much Blade Runner, but without the rain. So we were grateful for that. But we quickly ran out of steam. We were so jet lagged. We'd come off a 24-hour journey, and we did what everyone has to do when you're running out of steam.
Yeah, we maybe had another 20 minutes look around the shopping mall district, and then we went to a 7-Eleven, and everyone has to go to a 7-Eleven when you're in Thailand, picked up 2 Chang beers and came back to the hotel room.
So today, big adventure. Not really sure what we're going to do.
I think we're going to go and find the Grand Palace. I think we're going to start by looking at some of the temples and maybe a bit of a journey on the river, because I think that's probably quite a nice way to see parts of the city.
Yeah, we just want to get orientated and get our bearings. So have a look and see how we get on today. navigating upriver, but it's never quite simple. Trying to get past all the touts at the ferry stations is always difficult.
Yeah, we knew that we needed to get a ferry up the river. There is a tourist ferry, there is the absolute tourist ferries, and then there's the normal ferry, which is what we were trying to get. It's cost us 40 baht each, which is about £1. I think we've still ended up on a tourist boat of some sort, but we're quite happy, and it's lovely just seeing all the buildings as we go past.
And it's so beautifully cool in the breeze. So yeah, we're enjoying the ride, and hopefully we're going to be at our first temple in a minute. So hopefully you should have seen that we've had the morning at Water Run, which was just unbelievably amazing. Just stunning, but very, very busy. But in our quest to be the eternal backpackers, we've just had a very lazy lunch at 7-Eleven. You've got to have a cheese and ham toastie at 7-Eleven apparently. And now we're trying to think about what we're doing, but we just sat in the station in the aircon because it is so, so hot.
Morning and welcome to day 3. We're both feeling, I think probably a little bit jet lagged. We're both a little bit jaded today. We got up and then I came straight back to bed after breakfast, and it's 11 o'clock now and I just fell asleep. So we thought we'd catch you up a little bit with yesterday.
And it was a day all about the temples, and we spent the whole day pretty much immersing ourselves in the local Buddhist culture, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
So the first temple we visited was, I think it's called Wat Arhan, and we had to get the riverboat to get there, which was quite an experience. It was absolutely stunning just going up the river and seeing all the sights and views from either side. The temples, all the temples that we visited in that area were being highly decorated. They were putting purple and yellow bunting everywhere. Everywhere has been painted this week. They were putting flowers all over the place, and they were absolutely beautiful. So Wat Arhan, the first temple we visited, was just one of those wow moments. As you approached it from the river, it just kind of rose from the scenes, from the banks of the river, and as you got closer, it was stunning.
It was absolutely beautiful, and nothing I think that we've ever experienced in terms of our European or American travels. Very uniquely Buddhist. It was such a popular place for locals and Thai people. A little bit odd for us maybe that seemingly one of the big traditions is to get dressed up in national dress and then go for photo shoots around. So we were maybe a little bit out of place because we weren't doing our sort of Instagram poses and things like that, but it was really nice to witness because clearly people really proud of their national heritage.
I really liked it. They were really pretty. The women's dress was sort of very ornate, and yeah, it was lovely to see.
But then, obviously, with the river being shut, we had problems that we couldn't get across the river to the next temple. So we had to go on a bit of an expedition. Actually, it was maybe a blessing in disguise because we went on the underground just for one stop, but it's a fully air-conditioned underground, so it just gave us the opportunity to cool down. And then we went to the reclining Buddha, or Wat Po. Over to you.
Wow, I don't even think I can put it into words, the experience there. We weren't actually aiming to go there to start with. We wanted to go to, is it the Grand Palace, the Golden Palace?
Grand Palace.
Yeah, that's where we were aiming for. But again, with the preparations for the King's arrival, it was making that a little bit more tricky. So we were like, oh, we'll go to this one instead. And it was just magical. The beauty of it, the combination of the ceramic clad towers and the golden details on the roofs, and then actually going into the huge hall that had the reclining Buddha in.
Ridiculous. Just a mind-blowing moment. But I think just the whole campus was just amazing. It was almost like a sort of a fortified little town really in itself. It was definitely Buddha overload because there was all these cloisters with historic Buddhas all lined up, and I think one of the things that we really enjoyed was all the ornate statue guards that were everywhere that took on all sorts of forms.
Yeah, Richard, who's done a bit of the historic reading around it, did you say that the guards were different characters that were meant to protect the Buddhas?
Yeah, some really odd stuff. So there's sort of fictional creatures, there's lions, there's lots of warriors.
Marco Polo, I think you said, was one of them.
And Marco Polo comes from nowhere, but yeah, he's out there guarding the Buddhas. A very peaceful and serene place despite the crowds, and you've got the odd Buddhist monk wandering around. Just beautiful, and I could have stayed there all day.
We could, and again, we were almost tempted not to go in because you had to pay to get in, and you could see a lot of it from outside the gate, but I'm so glad that we did. And once you went in, you just kept going through archway after archway, and you'd think that you were nearly there and you'd nearly seen everything, and then you would come into another absolutely stunning courtyard, and the people are just so friendly.
But it was a big old day.
It was
nearly 25,000 steps, and we were pretty goosed at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was 32 degrees, and that does make for hard work when you're walking so much. I really enjoyed actually the experience of hopping on and off the subway system and the overhead trains. They are an easy way to get around the city and not too expensive. Most journeys were between 28 to 40 baht each, which is kind of 55 pence to a pound.
We did indulge in what we've been reassured is a classic Thai experience, and we had a 7-Eleven lunch stop, which was just amazing. The Yorkshireman in me, wow, what amazing value.
He says a classic Thai experience. It's a classic Thai experience for British and Australian people who keep looking at some of the Thai street food going, I'm not really sure. So we had a cheese and ham toastie, and at that point it was just tasted like the best thing ever. And I think it was 100 Thai baht for 2 cheese toasties, a big litre bottle of Coke and a huge grab bag full of Cheetos, which is one of my favourite snacks, which is about £2.50, so bargain hunting as well.
And then we were just pretty goosed for the rest of the day, so we came back to the hotel, had a bit of a lounge, had a bit of a swim, went out for some dinner, which was really nice. And
I'd like to say that we tried some Thai street food, but I've still not been brave enough yet. I don't know why I keep looking at it and thinking, not sure. But we went to one of the big shopping malls that had a big food court, and it is still street food, but it just looks maybe a little bit more sanitised. So I tried some fried chicken and rice dish, which was lovely.
yeah, we did the classic thing. We looked where the biggest queue was and went there. Great little food outlet that was apparently registered with the Michelin star sort of system, and it was really good. I went a little bit more adventurous and had some braised pork. Jackie did have a little bit of that, which was...
I did, it was nice actually. I think I preferred yours to mine.
Yeah, so yeah, we are making tentative baby steps towards that.
Today's going to be the day. I think we'll go out and maybe try a bit of Thai food. I think that's if the wooziness in our heads dissipates.
But we're going to try and walk it off. So I think it's going to be a train down to sort of Chinatown district and spend the day just pootling around there, going as we feel. If we're a bit tired, we'll come back and have a rest. But that's it. So have a look and see what we get up to today.
So as you'll have seen, we started off the day at Lumphini Park, but it was just this really quiet oasis of calm in the middle of a city full of bedlam. To get to the park, we had to walk down one of the big streetways that had all of the huge posh hotels. It did kind of show us where we could have been if we spent more money, but we really like where we are.
Yeah, we were a bit cheeky and we had a look last night to see how much the accommodation was down there, and some of it was over £400 a night, so a little bit out of our price range. And then I led us both on a bit of a wild goose chase trying to find Chinatown. How hard can it be to find Chinatown? It's absolutely massive, but we ended up going in circles, and in the end we just relied on the public transport network, found the right train line, and we soon descended into Chinatown?
Oh my goodness me. I'm not sure what I expected. We were hoping that we could get some lunch there. We didn't see anywhere that remotely looked like a restaurant type place. I don't know if we were at the wrong end of Chinatown. There were a few street food carts which didn't look that appetizing to me. We bought some fruit, which was really good, but I have never seen so much plastic, I'm going to call it tat. There was just, we ended up in this indoor market with narrow corridors in it, with motorbikes going up and down it, where you could buy any bit of plastic that you wanted. I mean, it was an experience.
It was mind-blowing. Christmas even arrived, so I think we can see where most of the Christmas ornaments got made and things like that. But yeah, we thought that Chinatown was like the main drag where all the traffic was going, and then you'd go into a smaller street, and then there'd be a smaller street off that, and then a back street, and then, as Jackie says, an alleyway. Some of the food markets, again, were just mind-blowing. For us, the fruit market was amazing, all sorts of fruits that we'd never seen before, and they all looked absolutely beautiful. But then it sort of descended into some other stranger stalls where, honestly, hand on heart, I could not identify what they were selling. I went past the fresh meat and fish retailer, and again, I just couldn't identify what they were selling. It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's a place to definitely experience, but it wasn't quite what I thought. I thought there would be more places to eat. So we did end up at another 7-Eleven having a cheese toastie in Chinatown and watching the world go by from there. And then in sharp contrast, after that, we started making our way back towards the hotel, and we stopped off at another one of the huge shopping malls, mainly because I just wanted to have a little bit of air conditioning because it is just so hot, and a nice ice cold drink.
So we just sat down, took half an hour to recover from Chinatown, and then, like Jackie said, in sharp contrast, descended into this sort of luxury mall that was just absolutely enormous. It went on forever. It was about 6 stories high. I've never seen retail quite like it. But the most bizarre thing about the fact that you'd got one mall there.
You come out of that mall and you're pretty much straight into another mall that's got a lot of the same shops. It's just as huge, and then you come out of that mall. I think there must have been 5 or 6 shopping malls, huge, all bigger than the Trafford Centre, and kind of all connected. So if you're into shopping, it's definitely the place to be. But us with our less is more, we've been really good. We haven't actually bought anything yet.
And then the next step in Jackie's culinary evolution is that we actually moved away from the food courts, and we actually went into a local bar and had a bite to eat.
I really, really enjoyed it. It was a Japanese bar that was just on the edge of one of the shopping malls, and it just had such a lovely atmosphere. It was Friday night, lots of workers stopping off on the way back, so we had a couple of beers, and I've never tried Japanese food before. I am quite a fussy eater. I will eat lots of different things, but I do eat with my eyes. But the food was delicious. I had some sort of noodles and pork.
And Jackie did really well, because the noodles and pork came with a sprinkling of dried shrimp, and you worked your way through that. So that was really good.
Well, I didn't work my way through it. I scraped that off because I don't like fish, but I did eat it, and it was really nice.
So today, it's Saturday, and we are having a bit of a lazy start. We've got a bit of admin to do. We've got to do some money exchange to make sure that our Thai baht don't run out. And then we are going to the Chatachuk weekend market, which is apparently one of the biggest outdoor markets in the world. So we're guaranteed to get lost.
What could go wrong?
hopefully you can see from the video that we had an absolutely wonderful day yesterday. It was just so lovely and probably one of the best days that we've had in Bangkok. But it started off with a bit of admin because we had to exchange some cash.
Actually, the first thing we needed to do was put some money onto our post office travel card, because we have realised just in some of the places like food courts, they are cashless and it's just easier to pay by a card. But I was really shocked. When we converted the money, it was a really bad exchange rate. So we only bought £100 to put on the card, and the exchange rate was 40.3 Thai baht.
So following the advice of many people, we brought some English currency in absolutely clean, pristine £50 notes to actually convert when we were in country. So we went to the hotel reception and they said that there was a little currency exchange just up the road in a small shopping mall. We went there and it was actually shut to start with, and so we went back again, and the currency exchange was a machine and you scanned your passport details in, but the exchange rate didn't feel too good. It was 41.3, and we'd heard rumours of another exchange that operate in the town centres.
So we got the train to the Siam shopping centres, and there are a couple of currency exchanges in the shopping arcade, and every time we asked in information where the currency exchange was, they kept pointing us to one downstairs, and the exchange rate was quite good. It was about 42.5, but we really wanted to find the super rich people because that's where we'd heard we'd get the best exchange rate. So we went upstairs and found it, and they had the most fantastic exchange rate of 43.5, which made a huge difference to the amount that we exchanged.
Yeah, so yesterday we exchanged £500 to keep us going for the next few weeks. So £500 with a 2 Thai baht difference simply between two exchange companies within country. That made the difference of 1,000 Thai baht, which is £25. So it was quite a significant difference.
When we look at it a different way, that's almost one day of our budget. So we've got an extra day for free just by the currency exchanges.
So moving on, we were obviously the most nervous travellers ever then because we were carrying quite a bit of cash, or it felt for us quite a bit of cash. So we scurried off back to the hotel to put everything in the safe, and then we set off for the weekend market at Chatachuk.
That was absolutely fantastic. I was a little bit scarred from Chinatown and I wasn't really having high hopes for what it would be like, and it was amazing. It is absolutely huge. I think we probably only saw maybe half of it. One of our favourite sections of the market was still a huge strand that was just full of independent designers, and their products were pretty cool and funky. There was some really lovely products, leather products, clothing. We could have actually spent a fortune in that section, but less is more. And being backpackers that have still got 7 weeks travelling around Thailand, we actually didn't buy anything apart from food there.
And that was a bit of a revelation as well. Jackie felt so much more comfortable because the food area, although it was outside, was really clean, it was really spacious, you could see the food being cooked, there was a huge amount of competition between all the food providers, and we just dipped our toe in the water and had a really nice experience.
And it was all really well priced. I had to have the sticky mango rice because it's been so much touted by different YouTubers, and that was lovely. You had some of the spring rolls and we had a beer, and I think between all of those it was about 200 Thai baht.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we did have a fab time there. But more excitingly, actually, after that we headed back into town and we were meeting up with two of our friends from university. We haven't seen them for 31 years. I don't think any of us have changed. We spent about 3 hours just giggling and chatting about old times and catching up with what everyone was up to.
And we weren't entirely sure whether our mates set us up or not, but they arranged for us to meet in a bar in the red light district, which we weren't particularly aware of. We were aware of it as soon as we walked towards the bar. But yeah, it was very interesting experience, just people watching, seeing what was going on in there. Interestingly, in Bangkok, the whole of the Thai culture is like a really modest culture, but the red light districts, they keep them very well policed, and there were police on the streets and things like that, so it didn't at any point feel dangerous. It just was interesting as outside observers.
The biggest difference I noticed is you changed from all the normal sort of street sellers tat to stalls just full of sex toys and all sorts of medications that I wouldn't want to know what they are.
So that was an experience, but that then leads us on to today, and sadly we're in our last 24 hours in Bangkok, and we are going to take it a little bit slower today.
Yeah, so we're just going to hopefully go back on the river and just actually stay on one of the boats to go right up and down the river and just have a look at the scenes, bit set back, because sometimes when you're actually on the streets it's quite hard to take in what's around you.
So we're looking forward to that, a little bit of slower pace today, and see how we get on.
So yesterday was Sunday and it's our last full day in Bangkok. We didn't have a huge amount that we had on our agenda. We wanted to go into town to do some bartering. Richard wanted a pair of Crocs and he'd got his eye on some ear pods, and then we wanted to go to a temple.
So the bartering went okay. We're not natural barterers, and we received some good advice from my ex-colleague Angela, who is an expert barterer, and we just haven't got the brass neck to do it. So the idea of going in super low and then bargaining around, we don't naturally do it, but we got a few $100 off here and there. So we were quite happy with that, and I'm pretty sure the people that we were buying from were quite happy with what we paid.
Richard got his Crocs, so all was good.
And then we went to the Golden Mount Temple. It was a bit of an awkward place to get to. It was through a sort of like garage and mechanics region, but we walked through there and then suddenly you've got this oasis that had the most beautiful views over Bangkok.
I'd like to say it was really serene and quiet up there, but part of the temple structure is it had lots and lots of bells, and everyone that walked past would tap each bell as they went past, and there was a couple of big gongs. It was a very different experience. We really enjoyed it.
And then talking of different experiences, we were going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So we were going from the temple and then we made the short walk across town to Khao San Road.
I had forgotten that's where he was leading me. I thought we were on our way to the Golden Palace, and he was like, "Oh, we're here." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, what have we dropped into?" It's a side of Bangkok that we haven't seen so far. It's something to experience. We sat and had a beer and watched the world go by. I think every 30 seconds we must have had a different hawker coming to try and sell us either scorpions or sunglasses. It was quite a strange experience.
It's the region where the starting scenes of The Beach were filmed with Leonardo DiCaprio, but it was an eye-opener. The one for me was the wandering down the street and they are spit roasting a alligator, which you don't always expect when you're walking down the street.
No, that looked disgusting.
But then we said from the start we had some things planned, and then some things happened just on an impromptu basis, and we were just so lucky last night.
We were trying to get to the river from the Golden Temple. That was closed, so we didn't actually get to go inside the Golden Temple, but we did see the sunset over it, and it was just like this really beautiful rosy pink skies. And then when we got to the river again was shut, and it was shut because the King's procession that we couldn't go down the river from Thursday because they were practicing was actually happening as we got there. So we just stood and watched for about half an hour as all these boats and rowing boats were pulled up and down the river. We missed the King's actual structure, I think, but it was quite an awesome sight.
Yeah, and coming from a country where we are renowned for our pageantry and things like that, it was just, we've counted ourselves really blessed to be able to witness that, because there was such national pride and there was such tradition there. We hadn't got a clue what was going on, but it was just wonderful to observe it.
Everyone was dressed in yellow, which is obviously the national colour when you're celebrating the King's procession, and there was sunset in the background across the river. It was just, I don't know, the most wonderful sight. It's something that I think we'll remember Thailand for.
And then it was nearly over. We got to the station, but of course, outside the station, there is a beautiful garden, and we just stumbled upon the most wonderful thing.
There was a festival going on, and it was a real locals festival, and it was so peaceful, it was so calm. There was just lovely music in the background, and there was lots of food stalls lining the park. So it was free to get in. We just kind of wandered in, sat and had a bit of food, and then wandered our way down to the train. It was quite surreal.
So, yeah, a very mixed day. Some things we expected, some things we didn't. And we haven't got a clue what to expect from today, because we're all packed up and we're ready to go.
Our next destination is Kanabanchuri, which is where the bridge over the River Kwai is. So we're quite excited about getting there. It's quite a journey. We've got to take a train, which is a locals train only, so that should be interesting, and it's about 2.5 hours. So we will see you when we get to the other side. So that's it for now. Bye.
Bye.